much does it hurt the WNBA when Caitlin Clark is out?
It is devastating to the WNBA when Caitlin Clark.
Now, I know a lot of us were expecting some sort of dip since Caitlin Clark has been out with injury, but I don't think all of us were expecting the entire viewership of the entire WNBA to be down. And this tweet from Christine Brennan really stuck out to me. She said, one player gets injured and more than half the TV audience for the entire league disappears. Has any other athlete ever had that kind of impact on a sport? Golf without Tiger definitely dropped precipitously on occasion.
It's hard to believe, but with Caitlin Clark off the court, the WNBA has found itself facing another major financial setback. The league suddenly looks unable to stop its momentum from slowing down. Many fans believe it still hasn't learned how important it is to protect the player who has brought more attention, new viewers, and record-breaking interest to women's basketball. While Clark remains sidelined, the league continues dealing with falling numbers, and every passing day appears to make that challenge even bigger.
And the truth is the truth, and the data is there. And what we saw when Caitlin was out the last time, the 5 games that she missed earlier in the season, the WNBA's viewership dropped more than 50%. Not just the Fever, but the entire league.
The numbers tell a story that's difficult to ignore. When Clark first missed games with a quad injury on May 24th, the league immediately felt the impact. Now she's also dealing with a groin injury, leaving fans uncertain about when she'll return. Unfortunately for the WNBA, this isn't the first time it's faced this situation. Instead, it feels like the same problem repeating itself, with many wondering why the league still seems unprepared for life without its biggest attraction.
Injury jumped to her groin likely because of compensation. But the thing that you have to be careful of is if, say, you try to rush her back from this injury as well, then you're getting into this territory where a very serious injury can happen. That is what the Indiana Fever, that is what Caitlin need to avoid the best that they possibly can. So if it means that Caitlin is out for 3 weeks, if it means that she is out all the way through All-Star, then so.
The television ratings paint an even clearer picture. National WNBA broadcasts reportedly dropped by around 55% after Clark was sidelined, falling from more than 1.8 million viewers to roughly 847,000. Indiana Fever games also experienced a dramatic decline, losing more than half of their usual audience. Those numbers highlight just how much attention Clark brings every time she steps onto the floor. For many people watching, it's become obvious that her influence reaches far beyond just her own team.
Clark went down. The WNBA ratings have dropped over 55% across the board.
Hey, guess what, guys?
The league is Caitlin Clark.
The league is Caitlin Clark. She is the WNBA, guys.
Sidelined with a left quad strain May 24th. National TV viewership has plunged since then. 55%. Before the injury, the Fever, her team, were averaging 1.81 million viewers, almost 2 million. Since her injury, fewer than 850.
That's why many critics continue asking the same question. If one player has such a huge impact on ticket sales, television ratings, and league revenue, shouldn't protecting that player be a top priority? Instead, many fans believe the league has repeatedly allowed Clark to face unnecessary physical play without making meaningful changes. To them, this situation isn't just about one injury. It's about whether the WNBA has truly learned how valuable its biggest star is and whether it can avoid repeating the same mistakes in the future.
News is alarming for the league, and it's alarming for the league because this is such a crucial year for the WNBA. At the end of this season, the WNBA will go into CBA negotiations. If negotiations go well, then every single player in the WNBA has a much better chance of making so much more in their next contract. And that's one thing when you start thinking about how many people stopped watching when Caitlin Clark got injured. A lot of people stopped watching because they are boycotting the WNBA. They don't want to give viewership to any other teams or any other players, whether they like other players on the team or not, because of how the media and the league itself has handled Caitlin Clark and how they have treated her.
If this story has surprised you so far, make sure to subscribe because there's even more to uncover. The financial impact arrived almost immediately after Clark was sidelined. Ticket prices for Fever games reportedly dropped by as much as 71%, with some seats falling from around $860 to nearly $250. The average ticket price for games she missed also fell dramatically, dropping from about $1,370 to roughly $80. Those numbers clearly show how much demand Clark creates. Several games had even been moved to larger arenas because of the excitement surrounding her appearances, but without her on the floor, many of those same venues struggled to fill their seats. Even the highly anticipated Fever vs. Sky rematch saw ticket prices fall sharply, proving just how much casual fans were tuning in specifically to watch Clark play.
What's really concerning about this is the fact that we are only a month into the regular season, and Caitlin Clark has already been out with 2 injuries, with the first one being her having to miss some time with a left quad strain. Now, of course, this is concerning because if you're already on your second injury, you don't want to be that player that is always hurt. Cough, cough, Embiid, cough, cough, Anthony Davis. So I really do hope that the Fever really sits her out right now for a while, only because you don't want her to have more long-term injuries and be more prone.
Sports journalist Christine Brennan has been one of the strongest critics of how the league has handled its biggest star. While discussing Caitlin Clark and the growing popularity of women's basketball, Brennan argued that the WNBA has failed to take full advantage of this historic moment. After another game in which Clark absorbed heavy contact, she questioned whether the league was doing enough to protect the player, attracting record audiences. According to league viewership figures often discussed by analysts, Clark is responsible for bringing in a huge share of the television audience. Even with that impact, critics believe she continues to face repeated physical play without enough action from officials. For many observers, it's difficult to understand why the league hasn't done more to protect the player driving so much of its recent growth.
Man, bruh. Congratulations to the WNBA. Your ratings are gonna drop by 55 to 60% once again. I believe the WNBA have successfully broken Caitlin.
Many fans believe the same pattern keeps repeating itself. Clark continues drawing tough defensive attention and hard fouls, while every reaction she has is closely examined. If she responds emotionally, she's criticized for it. If she stays quiet, she's criticized again. That has led some people to argue that she's placed in an impossible situation. At the same time, the WNBA continues dealing with financial pressure. Despite the league's surge in popularity during Clark's arrival, television ratings, merchandise sales, and attendance have all slowed whenever she's unavailable. Those trends have only increased concerns about how dependent the league has become on one player to drive interest.
As big a deal as Tiger was in men's golf, Keith, he did, and when he was gone, it affected the ratings, but nothing like that. And, Michael Jordan being out, maybe a 5 percentage points or something. Nothing like this. You can make a strong case, and I will make that case, and have that there is no one single athlete more important to his or her sport or tour, or whatever the circuit is that they play on, than Caitlin Clark is to the WNBA.
The most disappointing part, according to many supporters, is that much of this could have been prevented. From the beginning of her professional career, Clark handled enormous attention while continuing to praise teammates and focus on basketball. Many believe the league had the perfect opportunity to celebrate its newest superstar and build around the excitement she created. Instead, ongoing controversy has often taken attention away from the game itself. Beyond ticket sales and television numbers, sponsors are also paying close attention to the league's future direction. The bigger question now is whether the WNBA can find the right balance between growing its business, protecting its top players, and keeping the spotlight focused on basketball instead of constant controversy.
I don't even know where to begin, man. I hope Caitlin Clark is okay. I want to know when this injury even happened, bro, because let's be serious here. She has the quad injury. Mind you, Caitlin Clark hadn't missed a game since she was like 19 years old, since she was like 18 in college or something. Now she has a groin injury. We've never seen Caitlin Clark play as bad as she played the last 3 games. Let's just be serious here. She's like 1 for 20-something on threes in the last 3. We've never seen her shoot the ball this way. I'll say that. Has she been hurt and playing through?
Many fans have also compared this situation with other major sports leagues. They argue that if a superstar in another league repeatedly faced dangerous plays, officials and league leaders would respond much more quickly. Instead, critics believe the WNBA has allowed the conversation to continue without making enough changes. As a result, some fans have even said they are losing interest in games when Clark isn't playing because they no longer have confidence in the consistency of the officiating. When supporters begin questioning the fairness of the competition itself, the issue becomes much bigger than television ratings or ticket sales.
I admire about Caitlin. She's a warrior. She's tough. You hear me?
bruh, you just don't see players. You don't see female basketball players like her. I'm sorry. I haven't seen a lot of female basketball players, like I said.
The league has had several opportunities to respond differently, but many believe those chances have been missed. Every major incident involving Clark could have been used to strengthen player safety standards and improve consistency from officials. Instead, critics argue that the same explanations continue to be repeated while concerns remain unchanged. Ironically, Clark's absence has highlighted just how valuable she is to the league. The reported drop in viewership during her injury has become one of the strongest examples of her overall impact. Even with those numbers, many observers still question whether the WNBA has truly adjusted its approach to protecting its biggest stars.
Lena, I believe the physicality and all this hacking and fouling that goes on, she getting blindsided by Marina Mabrey. I think all of this stuff is having a wear and tear and an impact. And all you guys are doing are hurting yourselves, because the numbers are going to drop and drop and drop. And trust me, when it's time for that collective bargaining agreement, they are going to point to this and say, well, how can we give you guys all this money? What happens if she gets hurt?
At this point, many believe the solution is straightforward. If the WNBA wants to continue growing as a major professional league, it must place greater emphasis on player safety, apply its rules consistently, and keep the spotlight focused on basketball instead of repeated controversy. Fans want the league's biggest names to be remembered for their talent, not for constant physical play or off-court debates. The decline in attendance, television audiences, and overall interest during Clark's absence has reminded many people how important star players are to the league's future. Those numbers suggest that maintaining fan excitement requires more than competition alone.
Yeah, because of the way they play the game, because I love the WNBA, I love the way they play the game. But we really watch it because Caitlin Clark and everybody watching. Now listen, if I keep bumping her, knocking her down, might get her a concussion, you might hurt her for real. For 2 weeks, she was done with like a hamstring. She was down. 55% of the viewership was down. She comes back the next game, it's about 3 million viewers. Now let me tell you something. Growing up in the hood, they teach you this. Always protect the money. Y'all keep hurting her and all that. She's going for a year or two. Ain't nobody gonna watch it. If nobody watches, how y'all gonna make and generate money?
In the end, many believe this situation could have been handled very differently. The WNBA had an opportunity to build lasting growth around the excitement Caitlin Clark created, but critics argue that it didn't fully capitalize on that moment. Now the league faces an important decision about how it moves forward. Will it learn from what has happened, strengthen its commitment to protecting its biggest stars, and continue building the sport's popularity? Or will the same issues continue to create challenges in the years ahead? The answer may shape not only Caitlin Clark's future but also the future direction of the entire WNBA.